What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Mr. Blake here, and today we are going to be doing my first ever reaction video. Obviously, today's reaction video, we are going to react to every zombie map ranked from worst to best. Obviously, from yours truly, Tim Hasen, and obviously, I mean, it's in his own opinion. I mean, we can have different opinions. Like, he could say one thing about this, and I could say one thing about that. But, anyways, and I'm going to, skip around the video a couple of times, cause, I mean, I'm not trying to make this video a substitute for that video. But, anyways, without me continuously rambling on for like 20 minutes straight, let's get right into the video.
Hello, how are you guys doing today? Hopefully fantastic. I'm Tim. I have been heavily anticipating this moment for a very long time, since the beginning of BO4. Alright, today we are going to be ranking every single Treyarch Zombies map from worst.
I mean, I played some BO4 maps, but obviously I'm not played, all of them, so I don't care where he places the ones that I haven't played. But the ones that I have played, I would, react and give my own opinion of where he ranked them.
To best. From World at War all the way to Black Ops 4. There are 32 maps. It's quite the task.
32 maps. 32 maps. This is from World at War to BO4, by the way. Imagine adding Cold War, and imagine adding all of the Call of Duty zombie maps as a whole. That's a lot of maps.
But I'm very excited for it. I was born ready for this. Years ago, I did this exact video excluding BO4 because the game hadn't released at that point. So I'm going to be doing an updated version, and I'm going to be including some other maps that I refused to rank in that outdated video. So there's a lot more on the table here. And I've also realized since making that video that no matter how many times I stress that this is an opinion-based video, it will never be clear to 100% of the audience. So for the vast majority of you who watch this and agree to disagree, I appreciate that. We can all disagree. We are not going to have the exact same list, especially with this quantity. We all value different things in zombies maps, and we have different play styles, so we are bound to have different opinions. I'm ranking this based on a culmination of factors. It's very complex. It has a lot to do with gameplay, design, story, aesthetic, pretty much everything blended up together. It's going to be very difficult. A lot of these maps are going to be interchangeable. I'm sure if you and I had a long discussion for hours on end, we could swap a few of them, but I have a pretty good idea as to how I'm going to rank these. If you could leave a like on this video, that would be magnificent. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future content like this. I also...
Oh yeah, that also reminds me. Be sure to subscribe to my video, to my channel too.
Have a link in the description.
So I can do things like, stuff like this.
To some posters that I think you'll really enjoy. And without further ado, make sure to get comfortable. This is going to be a lengthy one. Let's get into it. Coming in at your number 32 spot, the worst Treyarch Zombies map of all time, we have Bus Depot. It's not a surprise. All you have on this map is a mystery box. No perks, no power, no pack-a-punch. This is bare-bones survival, and that's what this map was made for, is to test your ability to survive. But compared to every other Zombies map, it just doesn't hold any weight. Again, I understand what they were going for here, but it's a very small fraction of one of the worst Zombies maps of all time, I think, by default.
That's facts. Like, Transit is so bad that it's just bad in general. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, that it's bad, that it's so bad, that it's good. Like, you can, have fun with friends on Transit, but if you try to have fun with friends on either Bus Depot or the diner or town or farm, then it's not really fun. I mean, it's also not fun by yourself, but I mean,
by
hey,
default,
it's my
Bus
opinion.
Depot comes in dead last. I have no animosity towards this map. If you're looking for a challenge, this is it. But otherwise, I would suggest playing literally any other map. Number 31, Transit, the worst zombies map of all time, but because Bus Depot is a small fraction of it, it was placed a smidge lower. I would say Transit gets hated on a bit too much, but most of it is justified. Transit is the worst designed map ever for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
The lava, fog, and denizens were all features implemented to slow down the player from crashing the engine. See, that's really the problem with Transit. It was too aspirational for its own good. Treyarch bit off much more than they could chew. Transit being on last gen was its downfall. If this was a next gen map, this would be a completely different story. It would be a completely different map, but because of the last gen limitation.
And I guess it would be, you know, much higher as well, because it was on next gen.
Transit had to implement these cancerous features.
Because, I mean, if you think about it, that it was on last gen, like he said, and if they removed, like, the fog, the lava, and the denizens, like he said as well, then it would be, like, a better map, and it would be, you know, a little bit higher, or at the same spot that it is. But, and I mean, if it had a different map design, then yeah, you know, I would agree, but, you know.
Features to slow down the player from crashing. Treyarch, more specifically Jason Blundell, actually discussed this. The lava, denizens, and fog are all meant to fluff the conveniences of Transit and condenses it into one small, fun survival map, a lot like Bus Depot, but with perks and with more space and viability. Don't get your hopes too high. There isn't Pack-a-Punch, and there really isn't much to work with, but this is the better alternative to a fun survival map. Like Transit and like Bus Depot, the atmosphere isn't fantastic, but I would definitely say Farm is a step up from those maps. At your number 29 spot, we have Nocturne Toten. Tim, how dare you? Hey, you know what? I'm just not allowing nostalgia to get the best of me. Alright, if I was, it would probably be higher, but I'm being totally objective about this. It's a bunker, and that's what it was supposed to be. There was no concept for this map. It was the first map ever. It was the foundation for zombies.
It was the almighty Nocturne Toten is like the Adam and Eve. Well, more like, Noct was the Adam, and I guess Vuruct was Eve, and so they made so many different maps from therefore.
You can't expect much, but you also can't expect much, and that's why it's this low. There are different versions of this map. The Black Ops 1 version has the...
I personally like the Black Ops 1 version better than the World of War and Black Ops 3 version. Because in Black Ops 3, you have, like, a gobblegum and weapons with attachments and a Wonderfish machine, which you can literally go into any round that you want on the map with the right gobblegums, but personally I like Black Ops 1 better.
The Thunder Gun, it also has Mule Kick and
If
a
I'm
couple
being
of other
honest.
additions. And in the Black Ops 3 Zombies Chronicles Remaster, you have the Wonder Fizz machine and the Gobblegun machine. But really what we're focusing on is that World at War version, that basic bare bones map. You're not going to get very far. It's a difficult high round attempt. It's a scary map, but I got to be Voyage, which does everything that Noct does, but with perks and with an electric trap. It is just as difficult, if not more, and it's just as scary, if not more. You still have no Pack-a-Punch machine, and you still lack a viable wonder weapon. I honestly find Voyage to be one of the least player-friendly designs out there. There is no...
Oh yeah, speaking of Voyage, it's actually one of my favorite maps to ever exist, because, I mean, it's hard, but it's not too hard. I mean, there was a different scale of hard. Like, we have noob hard, which is not hard, and then we have pro hard. I would say that this map is for casual hard.
There is not a single good training area. There isn't really a reliable camping area. There is no easy way to get to round 100. You have to claw and scratch your way up there. Of course, you have the Black Ops 1 remaster, which gave you a Winter's Howl. Really not much of an upgrade there. You have the remaster in Black Ops 3, which gave you a Wonder Fizz machine and all of those perks. That's awesome. But I would
I feel like Black Ops 3 is probably one of my favorite Black Opses of all time. It is probably one of my favorite Call of Duties ever of all time. Well, obviously, besides that, and Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, and Infinite Warfare, and a couple of others.
I would say that if we're looking at World at War Verrückt, it's one step above Nocturne Towin, literally because it is the second Zombies map ever developed. The expectations were still very low. I still think Verrückt is a decent map, but because of how anti-player it is and because of how primitive it is, I would say it's one of the worst maps by default. Coming in at your number 27 spot, we have Die Rise. For those of you who have...
Really, though? I mean, really? Like... I mean, you have to do a bunch of jumps, and you have to build this to go over here, and you have to, like... Okay, let's just hear him.
You who have been subscribed to this channel for a long time, you've come to realize that this is my least favorite map. Alright, I don't think it's the absolute worst, but it is nothing short of awful, especially in its design. Die Rise is a vertically inclined map. There's a lot more up and down than there is across, right? And that's where the vast majority of this map's issues arise. If you like the verticality of Die Rise, none of these issues tend to be a problem for you. But if you're like me and you don't like the verticality in a zombies map, then all of the following issues bother you just as much as they bother me. At the forefront is, of course, fall damage. Having to jump from several different ledges around the map, having to maneuver through elevator shafts and steep drops. Now, typically on a zombies map, the number one concern, the number one cause of death, should be the zombies, right? Trying to kill you, but no, on Die Rise, the number one cause for concern is fall damage, which...
Oh yeah, I forgot about fall damage. Die Rise is a really bad map, if you actually think about it. Like, the random perk spawns, the pack-punch moving, and the power, and that fall damage, and you trying to get a free perk by knifing the jumping jacks.
Which I find to be problematic. This isn't Jumping Simulator, this is Zombies. And of course, again, we have different opinions. I'm sure that there's going to be a map up at the top of the list that I love that you despise, and that's just how it is. At your number 26 spot, we have Voyage of Despair. This map had a lot of potential, but unfortunately, it was poorly executed, the Easter egg especially. I felt as though that could have gone a number of ways, the glaringly obvious one being saving the ship from sinking. I thought that could have been a really cool concept, but they didn't do that. And though the atmosphere clicks and you feel as if you're on the Titanic, somehow the atmosphere feels empty and sort of bland, primarily on the outside of the ship. On the inside of the ship, the color scheme is an improvement, but somehow it lacks that intangible zombies feel, personally, at least. I'm sure you can disagree with that. That's problem number one. Problem number two is the general design. It is very difficult to distinguish different areas of the map because of how similar...
Oh yeah, and I forgot about this map. Yeah, this was one of the maps that I have played, and this one is probably one of my least favorite maps that I have played, because, I mean, you can't go certain ways. You have to turn on power, which obviously is hard to do by itself. And you have, these bosses which are stupidly annoying. Well, I mean, there's this water one, there's the fire one, the electric one, and the poison one. And I forgot the other two are, but yeah.
Similar everything looks. Typically on a zombies map, there's this area, and then there's that area, and they're different. But on this map, everything sort of looks the same. On the inside of the ship, everything is sort of a clusterfuck, which is why I primarily train on the outside of the ship, and on the outside of the ship, There are many small obstacles in the way from you forming a comfortable train. Activating the Sentinel artifact isn't much of a chore, but unflooding the bottom half of the map sort of is. I would say there is an overwhelming amount of boss zombies on this map. I realize that's a BO4 problem at large, but on this map specifically, you have the Catalyst zombies, you have the Blight Fathers, and you have those Requise-looking dudes that spawn in every round, and the problem is they don't really reward you at all for killing them. They just sort of exist, and they sort of just annoy you. The Kraken is a good wonder weapon, but the upgrades are a bit underwhelming, and it's not the most practical wonder weapon. It is very fun to use, and it's very unique, I'll give it that. But really, Voyage of Despair lacks the intangible qualities that a good zombies map has. I guess you could say it's a perfect spot weep all time, and sort of butchered it in the Black Ops 4 engine, but the design was the biggest issue for me. It felt totally unnecessary, the changes they made. They took a lot of integral parts of the map out, like the bridge, and they implemented a bunch of unnecessary ones to fill up space. I realize Richtofen's laboratory is essential for the storyline, but for gameplay, I'm out of there by round 2, and I don't ever come back for the rest of the game. There's no...
Unless if you do the Easter egg, then you should go back there.
No reason to. And really, that goes for the...
Unless if you're doing some type of, like, starting room challenge.
Whole first half of Blood of the Dead, that whole new area, that new facilities area. And there aren't many reasons to go to the Warden's house. They sort of stretch themselves thin in terms of design, and they blended up Mob of the Dead and really didn't execute it as well as they could have. A moving pack-a-punch machine to me also felt unnecessary, and the Hell's Retriever, which used to be one of the most important parts of Mob of the Dead, is tired and top. That felt we have Shino Numa. What's...
Oh, okay. We actually have one of my second favorite map from World of War, which is Shino Numa, and is
what
one of
separates this map from the other World at War maps is the viability of survival. I realize in the World at War version, it's completely glitched. There's a 24 zombie cap, and you can get to essentially unlimited rounds, but really what you're working with...
Or not really limited, unlimited rounds, because, I mean, at one point your game would have to crash, so... I mean, there's a limited amount of rounds that you could probably go on to.
With here is a Wonderwaff, which is very good. You have a lot more space. You can actually train. You have the Flogger, which was badass. You have the introduction of the Hellhounds. Generally, a more pleasant survival. The atmosphere is hit or miss. It's a swamp. It's not delightful. Many people don't like it, but many people, like myself, don't mind it and find it actually...
I actually like this. I actually like the, the setting of Shino Numa, because, I mean, most maps takes place in, like, buildings, or, most of the maps take places in, like, buildings, but maps like Shino Numa and Shangri-La, I have respect for, because, I mean, Shino Numa is in a swamp, and Shangri-La is in a jungle. Hey, it's in your opinion, but let's just continue with the video.
Actually to be a very good atmosphere. So take what you will from that. The design of this map is pretty straightforward. You have a central hub and 4 branching ones, each one containing a randomly generated perk, which I find to be one of the more fun qualities of this map. Don't get me wrong, the mud is a pain in the ass. There's still no pack-a-punch machine. There are many issues with Shino Numa, and it's very primitive, but it definitely surpasses the other World at War maps we've gone over thus far, and honestly, Shino Numa, in my opinion, is the most underrated zombies map of all time. We are focusing on the World at War version. There is a Black Ops 1 remaster and a Zombies Chronicles remaster, each one better than the last, slightly enhancing each experience, but the World at War version, though glitchy, though the easiest map of all time because of it, is still not a bad map. Coming in at your number 23 spot, we have 5, the Pentagon. One of the best concepts for a zombies map. Truly a remarkable setting. I love the characters, I love the unique story, I love the atmosphere.
Probably one of my favorite 5 characters is probably gonna be John F. Kennedy or Fidel Castro. But, obviously, you have your own opinion and I have mine. Plus, it's very weird for someone like me to like a communist dictator who died a couple of years ago in a video game.
Atmosphere. I love damn near everything about the map, except for the design of it. It is very anti-player. This map was actually ported straight from the campaign. There is a legitimate question as to whether or not this even should have been a zombies map, but it was, and although it wasn't perfect in design, it worked. However, there are some design flaws. First and foremost, your wonder weapon is the Winter's Howl, not particularly good. The only other means for infinite damage on this map is the electric trap, which is placed in a very inconvenient location, not practical sending the zombies through there because you yourself can get trapped in that very small room upstairs. It's very much out of the way. The only good training area on this map is on the middle floor in the war room. I suppose downstairs.
Yeah, that's where I mostly train all the time, is the lower bottom of the war room. And I mostly make it to like round 30, in 30s and 40s, around there.
Upstairs you can make the porcine lab work, but really, this is a solo map. There's only one good training area. Everyone else is sort of screwed, has to camp in the elevators, try to make something work. It's very, very difficult. The map is very condensed, very close quarters. It's just not an ideal high rounds map. It really strangles the player. And the weapons just aren't powerful enough to counteract that. I feel as though the player is too weak on this map, and the map is too imposing on the player. Some people really enjoy the challenge, and I do to a certain extent. But there are plenty of other maps that do all of what 5 does, but better. Getting around the map can be difficult, the teleporter is very inconsistent, and the Pentagon Thief, being one of the primary factors in this map, I personally find to be actually very good. A very healthy challenge, a very minor chaos that stirs everything up and makes everything interesting. He runs around the map stealing your weapons, and if you kill him, you're rewarded with a fire sale and a max ammo. A bonfire sale if you kill him without him touching you. That is a great risk/reward ratio. I really appreciate the Pentagon Thief, not many people do, but I can see why people don't like him as well. 5 is nowhere near perfect in design, but it does know its place. It's a challenging map. If you enter this arena, you're going to be kicked in the ass, and you best be prepared for it. There is a Pack-a-Punch machine. There are a lot more features than a lot of these other maps we've discussed thus far, but 5, I definitely feel, is not...
And I'm sorry if I am not, censoring the whole, the whole swearing thing, but, I mean, it's a YouTube video, okay, what do you expect?
Not at the top of the list. Number 22, Dead of the Night, the least marketed zombies map of all time. Did you even know this map existed? Not many people do. This, like most BO4 maps, was a great concept, but was poorly executed for only a couple reasons. Honestly, I don't have many complaints about this map, but the ones I do are pretty major. I love the atmosphere. A giant mansion in the middle of the wilderness, filled with zombies, with werewolves, with vampires. It's a Halloween nightmare come true. I don't have many complaints with the design itself. I think everything is sound enough. I really enjoy the Alistair's Folly. It's a hybrid of the ray gun and the blundergat. It's a very unique.
Yeah, we probably don't really care too much about this one. Ooh,
in terms of
Nuketown.
story, but in terms of gameplay, nothing short of fun.
Yeah, really don't care
its
about
college
Nuketown. Don't care about this one either.
Actually,
I mean,
classified
remember
is that of
where
Black Ops
I
4.
said
There
that we
isn't much
would,
complexity to it. It's pretty
switch,
easy to understand,
where
and
we
pretty
would,
easy to
skip
enjoy.
around?
It fixed a lot of the issues 5 had, like I said. The only unnecessary change I felt they made was Pack-a-Punch being at Area 51. If they kept the original Pack-a-Punch system, I think it would have been a little bit better, but otherwise I don't have many complaints about it. It was definitely a step up from 5, and this Easter egg is one of the most unique ones. It's a pure high round. Getting to round 150 unlocks the cutscene, which I think...
What? 150? Why not round 100?
...is a very nice reward for those high round players. Classified as a good map, and it comes in at number 19. At your number 18 spot, we have Town, another segment of Transit. Why is it so far above Bus Depot and Farm, you may be wondering? Well, that's because it's better. The only cancerous feature that Town carries on from Transit is the lava. Everything else is totally resolved. You have a Pack-a-Punch machine, you have 6 different perks to choose from, and you can actually do the 6 perk glitch to obtain all of them. You have the Ray Gun Mark II, and you don't have a cancerous boss zombie slowing you down. This is the survival map for players to hop onto and have a fun time. It doesn't suffocate the player, but it also doesn't give you a lightning bow to get to round 1,000,000 if you want either. It is still very challenging. Also, you know where everything is. Nothing is randomly generated into the map. You know what you're getting with Town. It's fun, but also challenging. I do still have it fairly low on the list.
It could be fun, but challenging at the same
it doesn't really
time.
have a story arc behind it, and there's no Easter egg. But other than that, town is a great map. At your number 17 spot, we have Shangri-La. Notoriously one of the most challenging maps ever, but no matter who you are...
You are touching one of my favorite Call of Duty maps, and I don't know what to say about that. I don't know what to say. But obviously I'm gonna hear your point.
If you like challenge or not, you're still gonna want to hop on Shangri-La. It has a lot more to offer than just challenge. It is the most beautiful map aesthetically in Zombies. The atmosphere, the setting, the vibe that Shangri-La offers, there is no other map that offers it. You're trapped within the temples of the Himalayas upon a shrine. The exotic wildlife really captivates the player. The story of Brock and Gary, the Easter egg that tags along with that, saving the two British explorers from their demise, is awesome, especially in the Eclipse mode. I thought that was a really cool feature. You have one of the best wonder weapons of all time, the 3179 JGB-215, aka the baby gun. Well, like I said, it is one of the most challenging maps, and not necessarily all for the right reasons. There are a lot of cancerous features to Shangri-La that we cannot ignore, that we cannot pretend aren't an issue. Like many of the maps we've gone over thus far, Shangri-La has a very anti-player design. There isn't a good training area on this map. Spacing is a nightmare. You can sort of kind of train where you see I am right now, but it's next to impossible. I'm an advocate for challenge, not ridiculous challenge though. This map
I mostly do a whole map train.
You can sort of kind of work things out in the Black Ops 1 version with PhD and the Mustang and Sally's, but in Black Ops 3 you cannot do that. The Black Ops 3 zombies are on steroids. That made things infinitely harder. There just isn't anywhere to turn on this map. Your highest hopes are to do a full map train. Just keep moving and hope to God that you have enough ammo to get through the round. And of course, I haven't mentioned the boss zombies yet. The monkeys, the napalms, the shriekers. Each of which are irritating and inconvenient in their own capacity.
Well, I mean, yeah, I can understand the monkeys, but they can also be, used to your advantage. Say if you got a carpenter and it switches to a max ammo, then you would shoot the monkey and get a max ammo. And if they do switch from max ammo to a perk bottle, then you would want to get the free perk, because, hey, it's free, right? And yes, don't get me wrong, the napalm zombies are a pain, but they can also be used as a fire trap if around nearby zombies. And say for the Shrieker, he's not too annoying, but at the same time he can, but not really.
Capacity, but can be taken advantage of. The monkeys can be used to manipulate drops. The Shriekers can disable zombies, and the napalm, when exploded, can act as a temporary fire trap. So these boss zombies can be taken advantage of, but they spawn in large quantities and are a nuisance, to say the least. I hate having...
I don't know. I don't think they're a nuisance. I don't think they're, that annoying.
To worry about my drop being stolen every single round by a monkey. Pack-a-punching on this map solo is no problem at all, but with multiple people can prove difficult, since you all have to simultaneously step on one of the rotating stones. Shangri-La was one of the most hated maps of all time when it released. It grew on people, but I still don't think it is at the top of this list. I did a lot of thinking about it, and I just think this map is a little too anti-player, but I still think it is a very good map, especially in terms of story and atmosphere. Coming in at number 16, we have Tog der Toten, Call of the Dead
Call of the Dead 2.0.
And you have nothing Rebel. Took different aspects of other zombies maps in the past and blended it up into one nostalgic wet dream. The only two original locations on this map are Spawn and inside the Apothecary.
Just gonna skip.
I think Revelations is a middle of the... It does have its flaws, though. I'm going to go over the few flaws it has before I go over the many good qualities of the map. The banking system is flawed, this map in particular. I realize it's a BO2 issue at large, but it can be exploited the most on this map. You can get totally set up on round 1. That's one of the biggest issues with this map. That combined with an arsenal of overpowered weapons, this map is mind-numbingly easy. You can sit in the jug corridor with a subsurface resonator and a head chopper and not even have to move, or you can sit on top of the bank with Vulturade and the Paralyzer, an infinite damage wonder weapon, and not have to move there either. There just isn't enough challenge.
Why can you not just do why can you not just sit in the jug corridor with the Paralyzer.
On this map. And while these features do make Buried extraordinarily easy, it also makes it a great map. This map innovated quite a bit and introduced many new play styles. You have all of these new wonder weapons, you have all of these new buildables, and you also have a new means to open up the map through Leroy, or I guess Arthur. You feed him booze and candy, and he does a multitude of tasks, from opening up doors, to pinning down the mystery box, to building things for you. You name it, he can likely do it. Leroy is a great feature on this map. He does make things a lot more convenient, and perhaps a bit easier on an already very easy map, but I think he was a great addition. The atmosphere of this map is very unique, taking place in an old American western town, actually located in Africa due to the shift in tectonic plates after the explosion. Of the three Victus maps, Buried has the best Easter egg, the best story arc, without a doubt has the best design. One of the best things about this map is the mansion. You make your and I think it has the best Easter egg of all time.
That's
in my
facts.
opinion, it is a grand finale to Black Ops 1. Granted, the RNG, having to wait for Excavator Pi, it can be a pain in the ass, but if you get past that, the storyline is nothing short of remarkable. Blowing up the Earth and causing the events in Black Ops 2, what a way to end the game. Richtofen and Samantha swap souls, you get all the perks, and the zombie's eye color changes to blue. I think it's the most impactful and profound Easter egg of all time. I really wanted to place Moon higher on this list, but there are too many issues in its design, and it really likes to kick the player while they're down. First and foremost, Jug and Speed Cola are on Earth in Area 51. You have to return there every time you need one of the two perks, and they alternate. So, let's say you go down, you lose Jug. You have to go to Earth, go back to the moon, and then go back to Earth to get Jug, because they alternate. And usually, it's not even because you go down, it's because you bump into the cosmonaut who headbutts you and steals one of your perks, who proves to be one of the worst bosses in COD Zombies. Silently lurks around the map, grabs you, has his way with you, and steals your belongings. The excavators are essential for the Easter egg, but once you complete it, or if you choose not to even do it, the excavators are just a pain in the ass. You have to constantly go back to spawn.
I'm sorry if
he's, you know, map. You have to deactivate
swearing too much.
The anti-gravity is a pain in the ass as well, and the BO3 remaster my beautiful segment of the map. You can tell that that is what they were going, is that stack up things as well. The wonder weapon variety and the QED of things. You can open up doors cheaper, you can manipulate drops, you can give players points, you can hack the mystery box. There are so many things you can do with that. The map size can prove irritating, especially when you need to go revive somebody and they're 1,200 miles away. But in the same breath, it allows a lot more training space and viability for survival. And a map in outer space on the moon is unique, I would say. I do feel as though the pros outweigh the cons, but there are many cons different. But it is Noshima. Once upon a time, when the map first launched, people hated it. It was frowned upon.
I don't know about this one.
Noticed, it grew on us. People now enjoy it more than ever. The design is beautiful. It's a very intricate map. Everything ties in beautifully together. It does
actually, you know what? Yeah, you know what?
It has many good qualities.
I'm actually going to agree with this one.
Assuming you don't run Mega Gobblegum, this map suffocates the player. You have to open up so many expensive doors. There are so many thrashers being thrown in your direction. You have such little to work with. You usually have an RK5 or some low-quality starting weapon. You don't have any perks. And while you're struggling to survive, you're juggling all of these fairly difficult tasks. You have to work on getting the Skull of Nansapwa. You have to work on getting the KT-4, the shield, turning on both power stations, which are timed. You have to grab the parts for the gas mask, pack a punch. There are just too many things to be worrying about too early, and most of them are mandatory for a genuine survival. The biggest issue of this map is suffocating the player and forcing them to do way too much at the beginning of the game when they're vulnerable. But like I've always said, once you get past that, Zetsubo Noshima is a fantastic map. It has a great atmosphere for an hour and a half before
Oh no, what did I do? What did I do? What did I do?
Great story, a great
what
atmosphere, a lot of character development, a lot of innovation.
Where were we?
Ascension just has to
be
in the top 10, in my opinion. Right above it at number 9, we have Kino der Toten, Theater of the Dead. It was my first map. It's the most iconic, it's the most nostalgic, it's the most
we missed a couple.
Call of the Dead, one of my personal favorites. I absolutely love this map, but I realize not everybody does, and there is one giant glaring issue with it, and that's the high rounds. I love the uniqueness and the duality of the wonder weapons on this map, the VR-11 and the Scavenger, but like I said earlier, statistically, they are garbage, and they're not going to carry you very far through the rounds. The Scavenger will take you to about round 40, assuming you're running PhD. If you don't, you're going to blow yourself up, and then past that, it's going to drop off, and you're not going to be able to use it very effectively. The VR-11 in general is sort of ass. You can exploit it with the zombie blood and insta-kill effect on co-op, But if you're playing solo, this isn't going to do you very good. It's helpful for the Easter egg, but that's about it. There isn't a trap that deals
And you
infinite
can
damage to
send
help
George
you out
away.
either. You can obtain
Don't
the Wonder
forget
Waff
that.
every time you kill George, but eventually you're going to run out of ammo to kill George with. So there just isn't enough firepower on this map for high rounders. Anywhere past round 40 is impressive. But aside from the high rounds, which is a pretty big issue, everything else is absolutely perfect. I love the cold, snowy atmosphere. I love the location taking place in a Siberian winter. The design isn't your average cookie cutter map. You have a capsized ship, you also have a lighthouse, and a lot of ground in between. It's a fairly big map, and there is a lot of space to work with if you are smart with it. There is a moving pack-a-punch machine on this map, which is irritating at times, but it hasn't been a major issue for me. And a lot of people complain about Jug being far from spawn, how many doors you have to open to get to it. Well, honestly, I like that challenge. I love trying to get to the other side of the ship without Jug. It's not impossible, it's totally manageable, you just have to be careful. Deadshot Daiquiri was a great addition, and the best thing about Call of the Dead is the Easter egg, the story, the characters. Far into the future, after the events of Tog der Toten, George Romero uncovers lots of Group 935 research at the Tunguska River, and they film a movie there called Call of the Dead with the celebrity cast of Michael Rooker, Danny Trejo, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Robert Ike. But if you grab a scavenger or any powerful weapon and take him down, he gives you a death machine drop and he gives you a free perk, a Wonder Waff, if you've completed the Easter egg, which does help a lot with the deficient wonder weapons on the viable wonder weapon in the extension's design is more sound. This map was ported straight from the campaign like 5, but unlike 5, has good spacing and has genuine
It
training
was ported
areas.
from the
It has a
campaign,
viable wonder
but
weapon in the Thunder Gun. You also have the
it has
introduction
more
of
room.
Matryoshka dolls and Gersh devices. Stamina Up was introduced, PhD Flopper was introduced, the Lunar Landers were introduced. A lot of new things came with this map. It innovated quite a bit. This was the first map with a main Easter egg,
A new
and by
monkey
doing
bomb
so,
was
you were
introduced
rewarded
too.
a 90-second death machine. Not a big reward, but it was the first. I love the story behind this map, and I love the atmosphere. There is that one issue, though, of this map being very easy because of how much space there is to work with, and because you have some very powerful wonder weapons. Really, all you need is the Thunder Gun and Jug, and you can get to around 200 in the blink of an eye. The Black Ops 3 remaster, of course, makes things a lot easier with the double pack-a-punch variants and so on. There is one thing that makes this map semi-challenging, though, and that is the Space Monkeys, of course, spawning in every couple of rounds to steal your perks. It is a pain in the ass, but they give you a free perk if you kill them without them touching them, and a max ammo, so they reward you. But yeah, this map is one of the easiest of all time, but I do think it is a very well put together map.
I wonder
It
what
has a great
happens
story, a
if
great
you don't buy
atmosphere, a lot of
perks
character
and
development,
they
a lot of
just...
innovation. Ascension just
Do they
has
go
to
after
be in the
you,
top 10,
or
in my
what?
opinion. Right above it at number 9, we have Kino der Toten, Theater of the Dead.
Okay.
It was my first map. It's
One of my all-time favorite maps, no cap. I mean, there are some maps that would probably top this, but yeah, this is factually one of my favorite maps of all time. Let's see, it takes, hold on, I need to adjust this, hold on, sorry guys, sorry, break, take a quick break, take 5. Let's see, this takes place in 1960 or in the 40s or 50s. 40s or 50s, 60s, speak English blockade. And it introduced the Thunder Gun, I think monkeys, I don't 100% know. It also introduced Nova Crawlers, a fire trap, a machine gun, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it for Kino. Oh, and of course new weapons. I mean, some World of War weapons returned to.
It's the most iconic, it's the most nostalgic, it's the most played, but we're not really considering that. It is a very well put together map. Like Ascension, you have a lot of good spacing, a lot of good training areas, and you have the Thunder Gun. High rounds are very easy, but it's not too easy. It sort of hits a beautiful difficulty where everybody can play and everybody can have fun, whether you can't tell your ass from your elbow or you're a world record setter. This map welcomes all, and it punches you in the face with a very eerie atmosphere. You sort of look around the map and think of what once was. It used to be well and alive. People would sit down and watch movies, but now you see rubble everywhere. You see Nova crawlers crawling through the ceiling. You see zombies tearing through the barriers. It's just a very spooky atmosphere that hasn't been matched by many maps. This is the epitome of classic zombies. It does everything pretty well. It doesn't do one thing in particular poorly. I do believe this map is slightly overrated. People hold this map to a very high regard, almost as if it's a top tier.
Hello?
From
Like,
Kino to
my
this map,
thing
but
work?
this is such a beautiful map for so many reasons. Say what you want about the Black Ops 4 engine, this was one of the gems that came out of BO4. This map, more than any other map, is a
Oh my
performance.
gosh,
You
hold
spawn
on
in the
guys, I'm gonna
Coliseum
need to,
as one of the contestants,
you know,
trying
do
to
this
give the audience
manually
a
instead
show
of
with
pressing
killing the
K or
zombies.
L.
You're either rewarded
Instead
by
of
the
pressing
audience or mistreated
L
by
and
the audience,
K
depending on
all the
how
time.
you are performing. And when it comes to atmosphere, you have a wide variety
Oh
of
my
them.
god, you can literally go away.
Spawn
Oh
in
my
the Roman
gosh.
Colosseum. That's of course.
I didn't know reaction videos would be
Spot, we
this
have
hard,
Gorod, Krovi,
especially
dragons,
on a
and lots of
Chromebook.
them in the war-torn city of Stalingrad. This atmosphere is remarkable. It is a perfect blend of fiction and non-fiction, history and dragons. The fire, the blood, the rubble. It is gut-wrenching. I love the story behind it. I love Nikolai's involvement. I don't like the Easter egg, though. Really, it's a list of miscellaneous tasks that didn't really have to be done in
Basically a
order for
giant
Sophia to give you
shortlist.
the power core she had it all along. It's sort of just one giant middle finger, and it's not particularly easy. You almost have to run Gobblegum to complete the best Black Ops 4 map. It is a lot like the Eisendrache with the 4 elemental wonder weapons, in this case gauntlets, each based on a god. The map takes place in the fictional city of Delphi, containing lots of Greek mythology. From the bosses, to the wonder weapons, the statues, the Pegasus flying around the map aiding you. The map has a profound historical atmosphere. It has a very good Easter egg with a very good ending as far as chaos goes. It has a pretty good design. I have no complaints there. So much.
Yeah, we really don't care too much about,
Doris Was a Revolution is essentially a Zombies Chronicles remaster. It's the same. Why is Doris so far ahead of the other World at War maps? Is it really that much of an improvement? Yes.
Pack-a-Punch.
Doris Was a Revolution. This changed zombies exponentially. Pack-a-Punch, primarily, was the reason for that. With the Pack-a-Punch machine, you were able to increase your damage output quite a bit, giving you a genuine shot at a high round. This made players want to play all the more, and the design of begin with this masterpiece. This is a slept-on map. People don't give this map the recognition it deserves. Well, at least not in the beginning. Now people seem to realize how good it is. In the fictional Bright Light Morgue City, with our 4 sinners as characters, Floyd Campbell, Jack Vincent, Nero Blackstone, and Jessica Rose. With the H.P. Lovecraft lore, with the Margwas, Parasites, Shadow Man, the Easter egg story, nothing about this map is underwhelming. Everything is fulfilling. It blended together so many elements that you didn't think would work, but did. With H.P. Lovecraft, with the zombies, with the city life. The fact that they made it all work is beyond me, and the design is beautiful. This is the best executed design I've ever seen. And it's pretty straightforward, too. You have the central district, and then you have 3 branching ones, each character dedicated to one of those districts. Performing all the rituals and setting up on this map is tedious, I'll concede, but I don't find it to be that irritating. In fact, I sort of have a fun time. I'm sort of captivated by the whole thing. And though many people find Beast Mode tedious, I liked it. I think it's interesting. It made setting up on the map feel non-linear. And being in a little bit better, but Shadows, easy top 5 for me, and one of my favorite. Coming in at number 3, we have Der Eisendrache. You have to pronounce it like that, otherwise there will be angry German people in your comments. This map is perfection. It's a bit on the easy side, but not to the point where it's a genuine concern. Where do I start? How about the 4 elemental bows? Each unique in their own way. All powerful, though. My favorite is the wolf, but they really add a lot of personality to this map. They allow the players to choose amongst themselves who wields which bow, and they add a ton of replayability value. The best thing is, if you're either unfamiliar or don't want to complete these quests, you don't have to. Pack-a-Punch and Power, the 2 bare essentials on this map, are very easy, very accessible.
I feel
Everybody
like the
can
lightning
get down
bow
with the
is
Eisendrache. Ragnarok
easy
Specialist
too.
is also awesome, and it can get easy at times on this map, but you also have a Panzer Soldat to sort of counteract that. You want to talk about location? I don't know if there's a better one. On top of the cold Austrian Alps, inside of a medieval castle, which has been turned into a Group 935 research facility. it fires on all cylinders. It's got lots of history, it's got lots of fiction, it blends it together. It's a very nice combination. And the story to tag along with it, oh, so good. This is one of the best Easter eggs. It's one of my favorites. It's very simple, pretty straightforward, not too difficult. Experts can do this Easter egg and have fun. Beginners can as well. I love every step of it, especially the
Literally
concluding boss
anyone
fight.
can
Seriously
play this.
badass. And then you blow up the moon, which is just a really cool twist. And Origins. Right off the bat, I will say Origins is a handful, especially on solo. Setting up on Origins takes a long time. It's not necessarily the most difficult thing, but my god, you will be sitting in front of your screen for an hour and a half before you comfortably high round. It can definitely be overwhelming, especially for beginners. But Origins does everything else beautifully. And though I preferred Eisendrache, I believe Origins slightly inches Eisendrache out because the four elemental stabs were the predecessor. These were the inspiration for those bows. And Origins has this inexplicable vibe, this aura of grandeur. It began what we now know as the Prince story, and it also concluded Black.
Skip
to our #1 spot. Ladies and gentlemen, the best zombies map of all time,
Mob of the Dead.
In my opinion, is Mob of the Dead.
And of course, how do I know this? Because, I mean, there is literally so many maps.
I'll say that. I know a lot of people think this map is overrated. I just don't think so. I think this is as close to perfection as you can get in a zombies map. Let's talk about the atmosphere. Alcatraz Prison. Didn't think they could make a good zombies map out of that, but they did. They sure as hell did. The map is genuinely scary. It's genuinely bone-chilling, seeing all the hanging corpses, the fire, the blood smeared all over the walls. This map is hell on earth, and you can really see that. And I really applaud Treyarch for going across the grain with a map like this. This isn't a map that everybody was comfortable with. Nobody knew who these characters were. They're brand new, from scratch. The whole concept was, and it somehow became the best map ever. These are 4 characters in Al Arlington, Finn O'Leary, Billy Handsome, and Sal DeLuca that we didn't need to care about, but Treyarch made us. They're 4 mobsters with a dirty past. They got sent to the prison and are now in a purgatory. And the Easter egg, the story behind this map is based on a real-life escape from Alcatraz story. There is a very high degree of reality behind this map. It's not all fiction. The design of this map is nothing short of amazing. It's the best flowing design I've ever played. You seamlessly walk through one room to another, picking up parts you need. And the gameplay is driven entirely by the story. You're collecting the plane parts, you're getting the hell off the island, and you're escaping, only to actually crash into the Golden Gate Bridge, where Pack-a-Punch is. I've never seen a map tie gameplay and story so well together where it actually encourages you to do it, and it doesn't make it feel like a tedious quest. You also work on feeding the 3 Hellhounds to get the Hell's Retriever, which you can then upgrade to the Hell's Redeemer, which is optional. The Blundergat is an amazing wonder weapon, adds tons of replayability value. You can upgrade it in 3 different ways. You can either get the Acid Gat, the Sweeper, or do both and get the Vitrolic Withering. The introduction of Electric Cherry and Afterlife was implemented, turning on multiple switches and choosing what to turn on and off rather than flipping one switch. I thought Brutus not only made sense for the story, but was one of the best bosses in terms of the actual gameplay. Again, I could go on and on and on about Mob of the Dead. It's my personal favorite map ever, and I also believe it is the best map of all time. They took the notorious Alcatraz prison, The Rock, the inescapable, provided a real-life escape scenario based on our zombies characters, and then zombified it. They think they're a poster at the video. I hope you have a magnificent day. Let me know your list down in the comments section, and I gotta go. So peace out.
That was the longest video I have probably ever made. But yeah, be sure to be sure to subscribe to my guy Tim Hasen. He does zombies content, and so do I for sometimes. But yeah, be sure to subscribe to Tim Hasen, and be sure to subscribe to me for new YouTube videos. This has been Mr. Blake, and I will see you all later. Peace out.